I'm Frank. I'm 83. And for 11 years, the first thing I did every single morning before coffee, before my feet even hit the floor, was reach for that meter with my stomach in a knot. Not because I'd done anything wrong the night before, because I never knew what number was going to look back at me. I live a full day now, every day. I still walk 2 miles most mornings. I still play cards with the men at the community center on Thursdays, and I don't flinch anymore when that meter beeps. Clear-headed, steady on my feet, not afraid of a number the second I open my eyes. But it took me a long time and a lot of paying attention to get there. Here's what nobody tells you at that 8-minute appointment. Your morning number isn't really one number. It's a report card on what happened in your body between about 2 and 4 in the morning while you were dead asleep and had no control over any of it. And your body has been sending you warning signs about that overnight process for longer than you've probably noticed. 5 signs specifically. I missed every single one of them for years. I'm going to walk you through them because if even one of these sounds familiar, your body's been trying to hand you a note, and nobody taught you how to read it. Sign number 1. You wake up thirsty. Not, I'd like some water thirsty. Parched, like you crossed a desert in your sleep. That's not nothing. When blood sugar runs high overnight, your kidneys work overtime trying to flush the excess, and that pulls water out of every cell in your body. By morning, you're dehydrated before you've even stood up. Sign number 2, the fog. You wake up and it takes 20-30 minutes before your brain feels like it's actually yours again. Foggy, slow, like wading through wet sand. Research on overnight glucose swings has linked that kind of morning fog to blood sugar that spiked or dropped erratically while you slept. Your brain runs almost entirely on glucose, and it does not like a bumpy ride. Sign number 3, and this one surprised me, night sweats or a clammy feeling when you wake, even in a cool room. That can be your body's stress response kicking in overnight, dumping hormones to counter a swing in your blood sugar while you're unconscious and can't do a thing about it. Sign number 4. Your feet feel different in the morning than they did at bedtime. A little more numb, a little more tingly. That's not your imagination, and it's not just getting older. The small nerves in your feet are some of the first tissue in the body to register the effects of elevated overnight glucose. And sign number 5, the one almost nobody connects to the meter at all, you wake up hungrier than you have any right to be. 20 minutes after you got up, even though you ate a normal dinner. That's a sign your body burned through fuel strangely overnight, and it's asking for more, fast. I want to be honest with you about what's actually happening in there, because once you understand the mechanism, these 5 signs stop feeling random and start feeling like exactly what they are, a pattern. While you sleep, your liver has a job. It's supposed to trickle out a small, steady stream of glucose overnight so your brain doesn't run out of fuel at 3 in the morning. That's normal. That's healthy. But research in endocrinology has long described something called the dawn phenomenon, a surge of hormones in the early morning hours, roughly between 2 and 4 a.m., that tells the liver to release glucose. In a younger, more insulin-sensitive body, insulin mops that glucose up quietly, and you never know it happened. But after 60, especially with years of insulin resistance built up, that mop-up crew shows up late or doesn't show up at all. The liver keeps dumping, nothing catches it, and you wake up to a number that has nothing to do with what you ate for dinner. That's the part your doctor almost never has time to explain. Not because they're hiding it, because a 15-minute appointment, cut down to maybe 8 minutes of actual conversation, doesn't leave room for a physiology lecture. They check your number, adjust your prescription if needed, and move to the next patient. It's not malice, it's math. There are only so many minutes in a day and only so many patients on the schedule. But that leaves you standing in your kitchen at 6 a.m. with a number and 0 explanation. And here's why these 5 signs matter so much. Research on chronic high glucose exposure has described a process where excess sugar attaches to proteins in your blood vessels and nerves over time. Scientists call the resulting compounds advanced glycation end products, and the process has been linked in the research literature to the kind of nerve and vessel wear that shows up first as those small morning signs, the tingling feet, the fog, long before it shows up as anything a specialist would call a complication. In other words, your body is trying to warn you years before the damage becomes official. These 5 signs are the whisper before the shout. You do everything right. You eat clean, you take your pills, and the next morning that number is still too high. I know that frustration. I lived it for years. They never tell you about the morning rise, your sugar climbing while you sleep, no matter what you did the day before. You wake up, you test, and it feels like the work didn't count, like you're stuck depending on more and getting nowhere. I was done feeling powerless. I didn't want to throw out my doctor's plan. I wanted something natural and simple I could add to it, something that finally moved that morning number. I'll walk you through what changed it for me. And the natural support I add every day is in the free presentation linked below. So if the dawn phenomenon is running the show overnight, and your morning number is really a report on what your liver did while you were unconscious, what actually helps? I started paying closer attention to what I put in my body in the 2 or 3 hours before bed, because that window turned out to matter more than almost anything else in the day. The habit that made the single biggest difference for me was a small serving of cottage cheese before bed. It sounds almost too simple to matter, but there's a real reason behind it. Cottage cheese is loaded with a slow-digesting protein called casein, and research on nighttime protein intake has shown that casein releases amino acids gradually over several hours rather than all at once. That slow, steady trickle appears to help keep your body in a more fed state through the night, rather than an empty state that can push the liver to dump more glucose to compensate. It's not a miracle. It's biology working with you instead of against you. But I want to be straight with you. One habit alone isn't the whole answer. It works best as a system, 3 pieces working together. The second piece is movement after dinner. Even a slow 10-minute walk around the block activates a mechanism in your muscles called GLUT4, which pulls glucose out of your bloodstream without needing much insulin at all to do it. That's fuel that never gets the chance to sit around and cause trouble overnight. The third piece is your bedroom temperature. Research connecting sleep quality to hormone regulation has found that a cooler, darker room supports steadier overnight cortisol patterns, and cortisol is one of the very hormones driving that early morning liver surge. Cottage cheese before bed, a short walk after dinner, a cool, dark room, 3 small things, 1 system. I think about a woman I met at my church group, Rosalind, 74, used to run a bakery counter for 30 years before she retired. Rosalind told me she'd stopped even setting an alarm early because she dreaded seeing the number before she'd had a chance to wake up properly. She started with just the evening walk, added the cottage cheese a few weeks later, and told me, very matter-of-fact, the way she'd tell you the weather, that her mornings simply felt calmer. Not cured, not fixed. Calmer. That's the word she used. I'm not telling you her story is proof of anything. I'm telling you it's possible to feel less afraid of your own kitchen in the morning. And I want you to know what that calm actually feels like from the inside, because I live it now. These days I get up and there's no knot in my stomach before I even look at the meter. I make my coffee, I sit on the porch if the weather's decent. I've got grandchildren who still call me for advice on their gardens, and I've got the clarity in my head to actually give it to them. That's not nothing when you're 83. That's everything. Because here's the truth underneath all of this. The number in the morning was never really about willpower. You didn't fail a test the night before. Your liver did what livers with insulin resistance do in the early hours, whether you were good the day before or not. I want you to let go of some of that guilt, because it was never entirely yours to carry. What I do want you to hold on to is this. It's not too late to change how those overnight hours go. I've watched people my age and younger give up entirely, convinced the number was just going to be what it was going to be forever. And I've watched others, the ones who paid attention to what happens between midnight and 6 a.m., the hours nobody's watching, start to see something shift. The difference wasn't magic. It was attention paid consistently to the hours everyone else ignores. Please talk with your doctor before making any changes to your routine, especially if you're on medication for your blood sugar. This is about supporting the plan you and your doctor have already built, alongside it, never instead of it. Drop your morning number in the comments below. I read every one of them, and I promise you, you are not the only person typing in a number that scares them. And if any of this rang true for you today, subscribe, because we're going to keep talking about the hours nobody else explained. If you watched this whole thing, you're not the type who gives up. You're the type who keeps looking for a real answer. So let me be straight with you. The morning number isn't your fault, and it isn't just diabetes. It's the dawn rise, and it responds to the right daily habits. The goal was never to quit your treatment. It was to support it naturally so you finally see that number move and feel in control again. Alongside the steps I showed you, I take a simple, natural support every day to help keep my blood sugar in a healthy range. Affordable, easy, and it works with my doctor's plan, not against it. The free presentation is in the description below. Go see it for yourself. And keep your doctor in the loop. This is support, not a replacement.